Hey guys, what's up? It's Vampire Bride. So a couple months ago I did a installation and a review of the CHIONE M1A 240R radiator by Game DS. Overall I had good things to say, but I did mention that the thermal paste came out of the tube looking kind of dry, and that I thought that maybe I could get better temperatures with a higher quality thermal paste, and that I would revisit that in another video. A few days after doing the review of the CHIONE M1A, I removed the thermal paste and replaced it with the Thermaltake TG8 thermal paste, thinking that maybe that would improve the temperatures. However, this was not the case. The temperatures were exactly the same. That doesn't, however, testify to the longevity of the thermal paste, as I did change it after only a couple of days. I didn't feel comfortable overclocking the processor with the seemingly dry thermal paste that came with the CHIONE M1A. But now that the thermal paste has changed, I can now test the temps at stock 3.5 megahertz versus overclocked to 4.5 megahertz, which at this time seems to be the highest overclock that my system can handle. Also worth mentioning that the stock temps in this video will not match the temperatures from the CHIONE M1A review video, because I had changed around the fan configuration to get a more positive airflow, and that did affect the temperature by a couple of degrees. And with that, let's get started with the stock versus overclock. I used some stress tests and some games to get the most accurate information on how the PC would perform day to day. The recorded temperatures are the highest temperatures reached during each test. Starting with Doom. I like to use Doom games to test whether or not my PC can handle the overclock, because my system used to crash minutes into playing Doom even when any other games or tests could be ran with no problem. So for Doom there is a 15-degree difference. Then there is Resident Evil 2 Remake. I used this just since it was a newer game. Only a 5-degree difference there. A 15-degree difference in the stock versus overclocked temperatures during Unigine Haven benchmark. And yikes, a high 30-degree difference during the Intel burn test. So the Intel burn test went way too high after running it for a while, but that does stress your processor more than most games or anything else you would do with your computer. Also, I wanted to mention that while overclocked to 4.5 megahertz, my computer will not render my videos out of Vegas Pro. Everything else works fine, but for some reason when trying to render my video out, Vegas Pro crashes every time. Until I turn the overclock down, then everything renders properly. So I know that I do my videos in a fairly high quality and fairly high frames per second, so I'm sure it puts a little bit of stress, but I can't see it happening more than the Intel burn test, and all the temperatures are always fine when I am trying to render a video out. So no big deal, just a little bit odd to me. So there is definitely a significant temperature difference between stock 3.5 megahertz and overclocking to 4.5 megahertz, which is expected. But other than the Intel burn test, the temperatures were fairly okay. Now I want to move on to Cinebench scores. Talking about the temperature of the overclocking makes the overclock seem bad because it's such a higher temperature. But when you add in the Cinebench scores and then of course the higher frames per second in your game, then it does start to seem worth it. I ran Cinebench while at stock 3.5 and overclocked to 3.4, and these are the scores my PC got. 636 at stock and 780 overclocked. So there's an almost 150 point score difference between stock and overclocked. I'd say that is pretty significant. That's all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit that like button if you did, and of course subscribe for more videos to come.